Golden Black Live, and you can always read. Kyle and Stacy are right there, and we're glad that you're here to the big show today. And as Stacy and Kyle also say each time, you've talked about this game a lot before you get here, and now it's another chance to change your mind from what you might have said 3 hours ago on the radio show. Purdue and Michigan State tomorrow. Stacy, what are we going to see?
I think it's going to be a very difficult game for Purdue. The last I looked, the spread was 21. I don't know if it's gone down at all for that. I think that seems fair. I mean, I think Purdue has definitely shown signs of becoming a better program and moving in the right direction. But Michigan State is a legitimate top 10 team, and I just think Purdue's not at that point right now. Not that Purdue won't get there in a couple years, but right now Michigan State's just more talented, and I think it's going to be really difficult on Saturday.
Bad opponent right now, I think. I mean, I think if it was other teams in the Big Ten, Purdue's
like Minnesota next year.
Surging is a big word, but Purdue's playing better. You could choose a lot of those other teams in the West Division right now and feel like Purdue would have a pretty good shot against on Saturday. But Michigan State's pretty good. They do a lot of things well that Purdue's going to struggle with, I think. Among them, they stop the run. So Purdue's going to have to try and run against a real, actual live 11-bodied defense that moves the right direction at the right times.
No, it's the same. They put 11 guys in the field last week. They just didn't move them in the right direction.
You would have had a hard time convincing me they had safeties on the field last week because I couldn't find them.
Yeah, they were running the wrong direction. Okay, for those of you who are new to the show, this is how the show works. You can send us your questions. Not that we're always going to answer them, but we'll do our best. We also have two little bottles in front of us today, and that's a new thing for us. This is actually going to be a remote. The weather is a little cool in Lafayette today, and we have Joe Tiller on as our guest, and we thought we would treat the coach to being in our studios today, but Kerry and Greg Ayersman from Triple X and Route 66 who are nice enough to be part of our promotion today, and also we will be doing a show down there later in the year as well, when it's probably a lot colder. And yet it isn't exactly warm, but I think tomorrow's supposed to be actually a pretty good day. We can. What did Amber say this morning on what the weather is supposed to be like tomorrow?
I wasn't really listening to tell you the truth.
That is horrible. And
63 degrees.
He brought that
I think
up.
it is.
He doesn't listen to me a lot.
And he says it's not cold outside. It is cool.
And so then he repeats what I just said, and I'm like, yeah, I just said that.
Okay.
But anyway, I know what she said because I listened.
Okay.
And she said it's going to be cool but sunny, and
sunny.
so maybe high 50s or whatever. She said good football weather.
Good day for a 3:30 start. The lights will be in
Thank
Ross
you,
State Stadium.
WOFI, for letting us use your studio. We don't listen to what you say.
Yeah, that's right. But we're listening intently right now, at least to ourselves. Okay, Purdue Michigan State breakdown. You kind of broke it down, at least on the periphery. But Austin Appleby's performance will make was obviously against Illinois was terrific, but it will be a challenge to replicate it this week just because it's a totally different outfit he's playing.
I'm really interested to see how he plays. I mean, this certainly is a challenge. I mean, obviously being a first-time starting quarterback on the road, regardless of what team it's against, that's a challenge in itself. But this is a challenge from what he's going to see on the other side of the field, I think, more than the challenges that he has going on kind of inside him or whatever. And I think that he looked really good. He kind of moved in the pocket really well. He was poised. But how poised can you be when maybe, let's say, Purdue trails early in this game?
Yeah.
I mean, how will he respond? John Shoup, I know Darrell Hazel said he didn't want Austin to do too much this week. I think John Shoup said something along those lines when you talk to him, too. I think that's going to be the key. Because to me, Appleby can be a risk-taker kind of guy in a good way, but I don't think they want him to be that, at least this week.
Yeah, now I have to find some different to
Well,
say,
no, I'm
because
talking about Sean
I was going to make
Robinson.
that. No, I was going to make that point that I think he has to not force it, and if they fall behind, he's going to try and force it. And when we've seen him in those situations, the times he's come off the bench with basically no ability to rally Purdue at all, he has thrown some interceptions. I want to see him, be challenged and see how he reacts a little bit, whether he'll force it to try and do too much himself, or let things come to him a little bit, which he did against Illinois.
Sean Robinson, though, obviously is going to be a big loss. The fact that he will not be playing tomorrow and Purdue's senior middle linebacker. This has ramifications for down the road, but it also makes for an extra big challenge for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn off my phone, but go ahead now.
Daryl Hazel's phone went off on Tuesday during
Yes,
the press
yes,
conference.
that's
so
right.
at
I'm
least
not
you're
the only
good
one.
company.
I'm in good company.
I think,
And this is a live stream.
Kyle and I were really interested in watching, in practice on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, those linebackers, to see how much the coaching, or how
Yeah.
much the coaches had to coach, if that makes sense. And I think we really saw that, especially with those weak side guys, Ezechuku and Andy Garcia. And to an extent, Garrett Hudson, who's a backup now, who could see more snaps, especially if they would go to that 4 linebacker package. And it was rough sledding. I mean, there were definitely times where the guys did not do what they were supposed to do, didn't seem like they knew what they were supposed to do, which, I talked to Marcus Freeman then after practice on Tuesday, I think, and said, kind of maybe a little not, I didn't have a
Bluntly?
good tone. Yes, I was a little blunt with just saying, do your weak side linebackers know what they're doing? Like, can
Yeah.
you, and he's like, well, we hope so, but they haven't been playing. And so, once you get more practice reps and you get out there, hopefully you get more comfortable, and they have to show up. I mean, even if Purdue tries to play more with that extra defensive back to keep Ezechuku off the field, Jimmy Herman is going to be in a different position-ish, being on the field in the nickel or the quarter where he wasn't before. So I'm assuming he has some a little different responsibilities there. And those linebackers have to help in pass coverage, and they haven't really done that lately.
Yeah, Greg Hudson literally taking the weak side linebackers by the shoulders during the walkthrough and walking them around to the right places to start Tuesday's practice. And probably not a good way you want to start the week. Talking to Hudson, though, on Wednesday, I think he's trying to take some of the stress off them a little bit and say, I think his final words to them will be, just go play. Because ultimately, at some point, they have to try and shut the brain off a little bit and just go out there and play instinctively. And unfortunately, at times, probably, their instincts are going to take them into the wrong spot.
I think that we might see Purdue blitz a lot more this weekend than we have so far. I think that, part of that is run blitzing too. You want to stop the run, you got to stop the run. But I think that'll be interesting to see where those guys come from. Ezechuku had a couple pretty nice blitzes this week against the scout team where nobody touched him. So if he can be a factor there, then, maybe that's a nice boost for Purdue.
Purdue's going to need something to happen, I think, where a big play gets made early in the game, and to get a pick six or a scoop and score or something of that nature. My guess would be if the Boilermakers are going to remain in the game. We talked about the Appleby effect, and we hit that already a little bit on the back end, but the whole situation with I'm having a rough day today. It's okay. It's like I said, it's a live stream. At least my clothes are still on. Okay, the
Yes,
whole.
they are. I would not be here.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. But the Appleby effect, in terms of raising all boats, so to speak, and what that does to the attitude of this football team.
You use these
What does that mean?
what does that mean, raising the boats? Where did they go?
He raises his what he has done. Has raised all. He's brought everybody's level of play.
Okay.
It's a very simple term. You guys need to look to read more or something, or read different stuff. But go ahead.
What
Read-
was there a
what-
question?
has he done that? Has he
Oh.
raised
Has he
the
raised the
level?
boats?
Has he raised the boats of? Raised all the boats on this football team. Raised Purdue's level of confidence.
Well, I think, and we're just making fun.
No, I know. It's
But
okay. It's easy.
I think that the funny part of this is this is the same player, personality-wise, he's always been. So he isn't just now.
Yeah.
He isn't just now, encouraging his teammates and providing energy. He's done that since day one. He's just now doing it where he's also on the field and making an impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that was obviously one of the reasons that when Daryl Hazel thought they needed energy, that he knew where to get it, because that's how Appleby has always been. So I don't think there's any question that he's not just. I mean, he'll go to everybody, and that was one of the things I had written about this week somewhere. Oh, in my feature, I wrote a feature on Austin for the Express, and he'll put the headset on, but he's like holding the mic and he's like yelling to the running backs down the bench from him, and he's going over the tight ends, he's going to the offensive line, he's going to the defense. I mean, I think that's the team part that they need. I think that he's done that, but he's done that for the whole year.
Stacy thinks it's irrelevant, but he brought intensity to the field.
Did you see the eye roll? I don't know if you can see the eye roll.
And yes, why do you think that's irrelevant?
We have an argument. It's a semantics argument about
Yeah, that may be the case.
intensity and
And
energy or
relevance?
something. No,
No.
and like using it in another
She's
way.
coming around to the dark side, don't
Okay.
worry.
whatever
never
he's
too
done, he
angry.
did, it's,
See
I'm
like
gonna
that.
use another old-fashioned term, he gave him a shot in the arm. Do you guys know what that means?
Yeah.
I did got that one.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good to know. All
Hard
right,
on the sleeve.
all right, what's our next topic after this?
Stacy's right though. That stuff is good when you're winning. I mean, you know, you gotta. It's easier to see the energy and the intensity, and he brought this when you win. Now, you know, if you fall behind, it's not like his energy is going to go away, but all of a sudden you start to notice some other things that might be part of his game. We're looking at a very small snapshot of Austin Appleby, and a lot of people want to crown him now, and I just think we should
Wait.
wait a little bit
Yeah.
because there will be some challenges coming up for him.
I like the way he looked in all, I mean, in all facets of the game. But, and he did come from, in fairness, I know this was not a huge deficit, but they did have a couple of 7-point deficits. What will be
Yes.
interesting is how they'll react this week if they get down 17 in a game where you have to keep playing hard against a team that's really, really good. And that brings us to the next topic, moral victories. And I know coaches never like to talk about that, but what, you know, is there such a thing to, can you sit there and say after this, looking at it from today's perspective, but after tomorrow, what will be a victory for Purdue outside of maybe not winning on the scoreboard?
You want to start?
I can never remember what my stance is on moral victories from week to week. It depends on circumstance, I think, a little bit. I think you can feel okay about how you play tomorrow, win or lose, if you feel like your offense has continued to be able to move the ball some, scored some points, and that your defense has absorbed the loss of Sean Robinson without completely falling in the tank. I think that can make you feel okay tomorrow night, especially considering, you know, Minnesota's a good team. They're not a great team, but I think the way in which the Gophers play, I think you have an opportunity in that game to maybe get a victory. I would have liked it more had Robinson been around because it's more of a physical type running attack that
Run the ball.
isn't going to beat him to the corner, and he is a good, you know, in the box linebacker, I think. But if you can play well and feel good about the way in which you play tomorrow night, I think you can feel good going to Minnesota. And I think in some ways, if you want to call that a moral victory, then fine. I think it would be.
I think it's similar to, it potentially could be similar to what the Notre Dame game was, you know, and when we asked Danny Etling after that game, basically that question, and he's like, no, it's never acceptable to lose. We don't want to
Yeah.
have that culture, but you can still see progress in a loss, and so I think that I do believe in moral victories personally, but I think that Purdue can do some good things in this game that it can take. It has to. It can't suck it. Can I say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Too
It's
late.
Generally, you can
It's
say
too
whatever
late.
you
We
want.
could
Like-
probably drink beer too. Real beer, too.
You know, like you don't want to see complete and total regression on all phases. You need to have something that you can feel good about going into the next week. And I agree that Minnesota would seem like it would be, you know, an opportunity to win.
Yeah, to me, though, for Purdue, it has to get to the point where the Boilermakers are, you get to even where you're enjoying the process of this team and this program getting better. And you're not there yet. You had that first win, you know, on the road and things look good. But I think that is one of the things that will tell me, maybe whether you want to call it a moral victory or whatever you want to call it, you have to get to that point where you can respect the fact that this program is in fact getting better week to week, and that may not always show on the scoreboard. And then we'll go into our last topic, and I think it's reasonable expectations, which ties in. All our topics kind of tie together, but reasonable expectations for the rest of the year, and that obviously tomorrow Purdue is 3-touchdown underdog, and you guys are looking at each other again. I know we just want to start counting victories. I'm not saying that, but what is the reasonable expectation that you, if you're a Purdue player and for the fan base, that this gets better week to week? Is that what you ultimately want to get out of 2014?
Austin Appleby said something this week when we talked to him that the ultimate test of greatness is consistency, and that's what they're trying to do. And so I think you want to see them consistently play better. It drives me crazy when I ask Darryl Hazel, like, those kind of like long-term like
Excuse me.
scheme questions, and he's just like, we just want to see improvement. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? But I'm kind of answering that the same way, because I think you kind of know it, and he would certainly know it better, looking kind of specifically at different things. But I think that you just want them, I want to see consistency. And I said that before the season, and I want to see it now. You know, if your offense, you know, starts to be able to run the ball, or if your offensive line starts to do good things, you want to see that each week. Not this week, but I just don't think you can this week. I just don't. I think they're going to be physically overmatched this week. But Minnesota, Nebraska maybe, even though it's at Nebraska, but Wisconsin. I mean, that's what it's a tough stretch, and you're going to have that every single year in the Big Ten. You have to get to a point where you can handle these tough stretches and not, you can't go 0-4.
So before the season, what was acceptable? 4 wins?
I
Was
think
that
most of us
acceptable
said 4, I think,
4 or 5.
making progress? Now it seems a little bit weird to say just winning 1 of the last 6, and you can feel like at the end of the season you've made good progress. But it would be 4 wins, which before the
and
season we
Purdue
would have
will
said.
not, Purdue will not be a favorite in any one of the last games unless something
Northwestern?
changes. Northwestern's going to have to lose a couple of games.
Yeah.
In my view, that they have to show that they're. If they go up to Minnesota and win there, they might be in a good position to win the division. As strange as that sounds. So
So if you're looking at it from purely a wins total, you're sitting at 3 right now. You very possibly could have had 4 in either the Central game, which Central's not very good, it doesn't appear,
no.
or if you could have done something in the second half against Iowa. So 2 more, I mean, 5 would be pretty good, I think. Where are you going to get the two more? I don't know. I mean, maybe Minnesota, as we've talked about, might be beatable. Northwestern, I don't know. Indiana on the road is going to be able to score. Purdue showed it could score a little bit against bad defenses last week, so maybe. But yeah, I think you've at least through the first half shown that defensively the scheme is better and works. It looks like. These are largely the same players as a year ago, and a bunch of them are playing a heck of a lot better than they did a year ago. And offensively, they've shown minutes of good play, I think. They just need to be more consistent in the second half of the season.
Or we need to see, now that we have a new guy at quarterback, whether this is going to continue from week to week too.
Whether the quarterback's going to continue week to week or the
quarterbacking production.
That's a whole other question, is the quarterback issue.
I mean, Daryl Hazel will not say that Austin Appleby is their quarterback for the season.
But if he produces anywhere close to what he did last week, he will be.
If he does, what if he doesn't?
Right. That's what's
That's
crazy
not one of
about
our
this whole thing.
topics.
I'm
but
sorry.
go ahead. No, that's all right. Go
But
ahead.
that's what's just crazy about this whole thing. It's like, and I talked to Austin about this, this week too. It's like you don't have any assurances. You have no guarantees that they won't just yank you if you make mistakes. And
Was it a lukewarm endorsement? Would you go as far as to say that by Hazel
I just thought
and company?
I just thought it was an odd statement to not to like you had said, to kind of quantify it or whatever.
Yeah.
Why don't you just? I mean,
Just say he's our quarterback.
because the question that I asked him on Monday was, okay, last season you made the change, and it was permanent. We knew you were making a switch. When you went to Etling, it was Etling. Is that what just happened? Did you just make a change and he's your guy, and he just says he's our quarterback for Saturday?
So
Why can't you just say he's our quarterback? Period. Don't.
Well, I think he just said he's not made the change permanent like last
Yeah.
year. That's
Right.
clear. That's just very clear. I mean,
So
whether
I
you
think-
agree with it or not, I think that's
Right.
reality. But I agree, that will be an interesting storyline of what happens if things don't go well, or Austin Appleby throws 3 interceptions they're really bad interceptions against Michigan State. How long is the leash? And I don't know. I would think
They don't want him to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody to turn the ball over. We
And he
know
didn't
that.
in week 1 and last
It's
week.
pretty obvious.
And
Don't put the ball on the ground. Don't throw interceptions.
Yeah.
You will find yourself.
And
in the
the other thing,
doghouse.
the other thing that Danny Etling did that was a problematic was taking bad sacks too. And against Michigan State, if you can keep yourself out of that early, at least that may at least keep you in the football game. And that's what's going to be interesting to see, is how well he adjusts and that maturity. One last thing, I thought he showed that Appleby showed a lot of, and again against Illinois, I get that, but maturity and being able to just stand in there and make plays. He made plays. I mean, if you look back at the 80-yard pass to Danny Anthrop and others, even his other pass to Danny Anthrop, his second pass to him, or the first of the 2 passes, was an improvised play where he's rolling out and makes plays. That to me shows that there's a real difference right now between the two.
Kept his eyes up downfield
Yeah.
when he was rolling
Yeah.
out of the pocket. I mean, you look back on that Anthrop, that early on, that play's not open at all.
Yeah.
But he rolled right,
You
kept
took
his
the
eyes,
80-yard
the
one,
80-yard
yeah,
one,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Kept his eyes up and, had the confidence that he had the time to see Anthrop come open and put that ball on the money.
Yeah. All right, we're going to let Stacy go. Joe Tiller is here. We know that. I think he ran into some people in the hallway and he's just talking down there. So Stacy may have to come down and give him the big hook to get in here. But we will take a 2-minute break, and then we'll come back for the next segment on Golden Black Live.